Okay, hey, what's up, garden friends? How's everybody doing? If you're doing well, I'm great. Jeff here. Is that how this intro goes? I can't remember. Yeah, hey, part 2 of the June garden tour. Did part 1 in the video prior. It ended up being extremely long, so I thought we'd just cut it at about an hour into the first part. We're rolling into the second part. I've already finished filming everything, so this is just me introducing to what's going to be random footage. I think the camera overheated at the hour mark, and then I filmed the goodbye, so we should be picking up inside or something like that. I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, hey, here's part 2. Dang, camera keeps dying on me, and the sun came out, and that's gotten everything nice and toasty. Still beautiful, though. Okay, let's go back out, see if we're gonna overheat again. It's not even that hot, it's just... God, there's a crab on there. It is just extremely humid. In the shade, it's feeling pretty good. It's like 84 degrees. Quite nice. Okay, where were we? Down there by the gingers, right? Oh, the lepedesa Thunbergii. I moved it, but apparently didn't move the whole thing, so it's still here. My love-hate relationship with this plant is growing every single year. It's a beautiful plant, though, so I'm going to let it stay here. I had it staked up, so it's up and off the wall. I had a goal this year. I dug all these trenches out and said I wanted to just be able to see the entire wall. It just looks so much better out here when it's not covered up. But I do like the way this drapes. As long as it's not covering up the entire patio, it's fine. The pollinators love this plant. It has been behaving differently this year and the last few years, in that this used to be a plant that only bloomed for me, I don't know, late July, August maybe, and then all the way until fall, just covered from the base all the way through all these stems with these beautiful flowers, tiny little petite flowers. The last couple years, I've been getting sporadic blooms on them from late May up until that August period, and then you get the really heavy blooms on them. I'm liking that. That's a nice change. I don't know if it's a maturity thing. I've had it for such a long time, it's hard to imagine that it needed to mature more for that to be the case. I don't know what changed, but maybe I just somehow never noticed that it was blooming sporadically before then. I think I would have noticed that, though, because I always am really excited about the flowers on this, particularly the heavy flush that will be happening in a month or so. We're not quite there yet. Okay, these guys. They've looked better. The green stalks are okay. I need to come in and do some pruning. Do not want to let this dill go into flower, because then I will have dill absolutely everywhere out here. I would just rather not have to deal with that. It's a big deal. That was dumb. I apologize. Shouldn't have done that. Okay. Yeah, have the seascapes. I believe, yeah, those are the strawberries I have up top. Very sweet. Good strawberries. The tomatoes. Okay, so these were technically cuttings. I need to cut them back. They are starting to put out some new growth. These were in my arrow garden. It's a dwarf type tomato. And I just pulled them out and stuck them in there, buried them down to let them do their thing. And I need to trim this off. It did keep growing, despite having most of its roots trimmed off, but I think it would just be better for the rest of the plant to just cut that off and put its energy into redeveloping. There are some random snapdragons in here, some various oreganos. I think this is the hot and spicy. Can you smell it? Let me know. Yeah, that's a hot and spicy oregano. What is this? Is this the pineapple sage? No, that's a snapdragon. I was way off. And carrots that I put in there for the kids to play with at the party. And some of them pulled some carrots, some of them did not. It doesn't matter. They're still in there. I'll pull them out later. In the bottom of these, I have some zucchini, which I realize is a ridiculous thing to put in a green stalk, but I don't have any spots in the yard that get a lot of light, that get that full sun. So the green stalk is where those needed to go if I wanted to grow them, because these are on wheels, so I can move them around. So once the sun starts shading things more, in about 3-4 weeks, a lot darker back here, I can take these guys and I can wheel them to the driveway. The driveway gets a lot of sun. That was the idea there. And they're starting to fruit up. I have been pulling leaves because there's zucchini. So the powdery mildew is just part of it. And I've just been pulling the leaves off when they get that. I swear I saw some decent sized fruit on here. Where'd they go? Well, it's just little guys so far. I don't really know what to expect out of these because they're in a green stalk, but I thought, hey, you know what? It'll be fun. We'll give it a try. Over here, mostly just herbs, rosemary, spearmint, peppermint. That's what I use the most in here. Every morning I come out and you can see I pluck leaves off of the mint. I need to start cutting this back, the peppermint and the spearmint, because I put them in my green tea in the morning. It's very refreshing. Helps you wake up, clears my mind, just tastes good. Everything else, you can just pick on it occasionally. So I have some chives in here, Greek oregano, Italian oregano. This is some other mint. I don't know. I actually think I'm going to pull this mint because it is taking over this green stalk. It's too much. It's too much, and I have all these other mints, and I'm not crazy about this, but it's just a sweet mint. So I'll probably get that one out of there. Need to go to town on pruning a lot of these guys. These are oreganos and things that are going into flower. Chamomile did not make it. I tried. It just wasn't a happy camper. And there's still some leftover lettuce down there I need to pull out too. Ooh. The pineapple sage. I'm really glad that this is doing well. This stuff, I got it way back in March. Like mid-March, I think. And I kept it in the greenhouse that was out here. And it took some serious cold damage. But look at how well it has come back. Looking great. I need to crush this up and add it to my tea. I know you wouldn't think sage would taste good with the tea, but this stuff, it smells so fruity. I bet it would be good. I doubt it would add a sage flavor. It'd probably add that nice pineapple flavor. So yeah, that's what's going on with the green stalks. It's not an awful lot. I have some dwarf peppers in here too that I also put in here as cuttings, and not all of them took. Yeah, some of them didn't work out. Oh, actually, there's a tiny bit of root on there. Put it back. Just wait and see what happens with that. Yeah, these are fun. I enjoy the green stalks. They do require so much water. I mean, tons and tons of water. So I will likely be putting these up onto my drip system at some point. It's not hard to water them. You just pop open the lid. I did the lids that have the swivel thing on top. And you stand there, but it takes a good, at least with my water pressure, a couple minutes to fill each one up, which when you're standing in the sun it's not that much fun. They're doing okay, considering, right? There's still some spring stuff like the carrots and the lettuce I need to pull out of there. Oh my goodness, look at you. Oh, it smells so good. Wait, what even are you? It just says herb. Oh, this is thyme? That doesn't smell like thyme. It doesn't smell like thyme at all. I think it smells like a tire and spearmint. Like a brand new tire and spearmint. That's what that thyme smells like. We're wasting time here. You get it. That nasturtium, I've been pulling on it a lot because the iguana loves nasturtiums. And so does the tortoise. So that's why it looks like that. I planted up. Oh, why are you like that? Yeah, this is a self-watering container. And when I first set this up, I was not having to water it very often. No, that soil is moist. Uh-oh. Well, anyways, that's in a self-watering container. I did drill a hole in it so that if there's too much water, it can flow out of it. I had to add some water yesterday. Prior to yesterday, I've only had to add water about once a week to this, and it was doing fine. I don't understand. What's the problem? Typically, when you see wilty, you go, oh, thirsty. But there's water in this pot. The soil does feel moist. Not like wet, but it's cool to the touch, which usually means it's moist. Are you cracked? Are you not holding water? Oh no, there's definitely water in there. Has to be water in there. There's the hole I drilled in it. In the side, you can kind of see that. I'm gonna give this a tip and see it. No, yeah, that's got water. Huh. I don't know. It's getting some sun right now. We'll see what it looks like in a little bit when the shade is back on there, and hopefully it'll right itself back up. These are the Feather Falls carrots. Beautiful. Got these for super cheap. Crazy cheap at the Home Depot. And for now, they're just sitting right there. I got them for planters on my front porch. It's a morning sun situation where carrots will do really well there. They're looking really good sitting right here, though, aren't they? Although I'll probably end up moving all of this to my front porch at some point. Right now, I'm just enjoying having them over there. I think they look nice. Oh, the foil. That's for the party. I'm going to have fun taking that stuff down. Over here, the Livistonas, chinensis, Chinese fan palm planters. This whole area has just been really fun this year. This is a spot that I had been wanting to get to for a couple of years, but I had to devote funds in other places. Last year, my focus was on fixing up this whole area. I bought new furniture and got a new cabinet and made it look good. But because of that, this area I didn't do much with last year. There's some bamboo in these pots. Got that pulled out, which was not a fun experience. Those things were really rooted in there, and I replaced them with these Chinese fan pumps. They're not potted into these containers. They're in 15-gallon pots, so I can just pull them right back out. Sure, it won't be quite that easy, but I had that option. I planted these up with the lemon blush caladiums that I love. They're one of my favorites. I love the various shades of green and that they have some lightness to them, so at nighttime they reflect light from the light fixture over here. They brighten the area up. Same with the variegation in the aphelandras that I added. I picked up these aphelandras, one in here and then another one over here, from my grocery store of all places back in January. They're in hanging baskets for about 10 bucks. That was such a good deal. And I just, got them along through the winter time and saved them to use in these pots. It's what I'd want to do with them that entire time. And I love them. Even though they don't have flowers on them just yet, they still look absolutely beautiful because they just have such nice glossy green leaves with the variegation. They're really nice. Everything in these pots is doing well with the exception of the funky pink begonias, which I had a feeling that they probably wouldn't do great out here, but wanted to give them a shot. Some of the tuberous types of begonias just don't thrive here. I think that it's the up and the down and up, and it can be 95 one day and then 75, and then it's bone dry, and then it's humid, and then it's storm. I mean, they just don't like it. They don't typically do well unless they're planted up on their own, and you can really manage their water that way. But by watering these planters the way the caladiums and the aphelandra and the Lismachia have wanted things, it's been too much water for those begonias. But hey, gave them a shot, can pull them. I'll probably just pop a couple cheap impatiens in their place to add some color back into everything. These do have the Lismachias in the front, the Fancifiller sunbursts. Again, I just like them because the way they sit tightly against the fronts of the containers. I also have some strapleaf caladium corms down in these and some curcuma corms that aren't doing much of anything yet. No, not really seeing any action out of them yet, but I just popped them in about a week ago, so it'll take some time. The orchids, they're just chilling. They were just there as added detail for the party. I love them. I think they're really, really pretty. Nice touch with the flamingos in the background. This guy keeps falling over. And set that back up. Hopefully that'll right itself. They were about done flowering when I got them, so I think that's why they were so cheap. And that's okay. I just want to make sure that I label them right, pink on the bottoms of the pots and orange and whatnot, so I can keep them organized. The pond. You want to talk about the pond? Also known as Turbo's favorite spot. It's your favorite spot, right, Turbo? That's where Turbo's always at. He loves his fish. The fish are doing well. Don't think you can see them wonderfully because of the reflection. There's guppies and joaquins and fantails in their little floating planter with some acarus grass, baby tut, papyrus, and I've stuck some hydrangea cuttings in here. Let's just see what they do. I want to get them rooted out. The water lily, I don't think this is getting enough sun. So that water lily is just blech. It's not doing much. I gave it a bunch of fertilizer. We will see. Initially, I had this set up all the way down over here. And I set it up knowing that I was going to be moving it, but none of the tropicals were out. So from, April until the palms come back from the greenhouse, it was set right over here and it got a lot more sun. But I had to move it because, this was setting up all of this. And that was originally where I had wanted to put it the entire time. I had always wanted it over here in between these planters. Talking for a few years, I had wanted to do this with this spot. Instead of having one big grand planter in the middle with these two on the side, I wanted to put a water feature there. And I just love it. I think it's great. Even if the water lily doesn't do much, there are other types that you can find that are more shade tolerant. Don't necessarily love the shade, but they can do a little bit. I think the Sioux, that's one of them. There's a whole bunch. Not a ton, but there are some to choose from that can take lower light conditions. That might be something I add back to it, or I just leave it and go, you know what, this is fine with the floating planter and the hornwort foxtail plant that's grown in there. Really fun stuff. Oh, the bamboos. I have bamboo back here. This is a variegated bamboo. Isn't it just beautiful? I got this because, well, one, I thought the variegation was pretty unique. It's supposed to be a fairly fast grower for more of a clumping type. This one is sort of an intermediate between a clumper and a runner. And that means so it's not going to take over, but it's not going to grow too slowly either. Sometimes with the clumping bamboos, they grow painfully slow. Not always. Depends on where you live. And with the runners, sometimes they grow way too fast. This one's a nice intermediate that also is supposed to do well inside. This is staying potted for a few years until it's big enough for me to take some little divisions off of, and I can try those divisions in the ground, because these aren't that easy to come by. I'm having some trouble remembering the name on this one. Really neat one, and I'm enjoying its vigor. I also have some bamboo palms just spotted around the place. They're more for early spring and then moving into fall when none of the other plants are out here. Those bamboo palms can take a lot more cold, and I picked a whole bunch of them up this past spring on a good sale. So there's a lot of them out here, but this time of year I let them just sit more in the background. They'll be more front and center in a few months. This area over here, none of this was here during the last garden tour, including the fan. Is that too loud? I'll turn it off. I have the noise cancellation set on the microphone, but that might be a bit much for it to handle. Yeah, so none of this was here in the last garden tour. The palm may have been here, perhaps. Oh, I didn't turn it off. What's it still going? I didn't. So the switch on this goes all the way around. It's pretty obnoxious. It should just go up and down, but it goes all the way in a full circle. Tillandsia, xerographica. Beautiful. Look at the big. Look at the big. Look at the size. That's what I meant to say. Huge. And it's been flowering and flowering and flowering. Let me try and get in there. So you can see it's getting close to the end of the flowering. They start down low on that inflorescence, and then they pop little purple flowers up, working their way to the top. Now the flowers are to the top, but it's okay. It's still an awesome looking plant even without the flowers, and it's putting up pups along the sides. I have my Dracaena back here that has just been a champ. This thing, the last couple of years, it got a repot last year, and it has been so thankful for that. It has put on a ton of growth, at least 18 inches, and probably like 2 feet of trunk since the repot. I think it was about down here when I repotted it, so that is all new just in the last year, and that's with moderate care. I haven't gone above and beyond with fertilizing it and that stuff. It's a Dracaena. I made sure it was in a soil that drains well, and during the winter I water it occasionally, but not that often, and then I just bring it outside and let it do its thing. I do make sure everything gets fertilized at the same time, so when I'm doing my weekly liquid fertilizer, it's more bi-weekly this year than weekly. Make sure it gets a drink, but otherwise it's gotten no special attention. It's just a Dracaena, just loving its life. I filled in the area with a lot of my houseplants and annuals. This is just gravel in here, and I wanted to make it look like a naturalized tropical type garden. So I have the double dot begonia hanging out in here with a philodendron billet in the back, and anthurium tucked in there that I think is really enjoying this light. It's putting up new flowers since I moved it over here. It was getting too much sun where I had it before. But you can see it's still flowering, still opening up and doing its thing. I have another anthurium over here that's probably getting too much shade because of that. See, that's too much. Might need to tie that back so that gets some more light sitting in that talavera. It is in a cache pot and it's raised up. So the bottom of the pot that this anthurium is in is about, I don't know, an inch or so up from the actual bottom. It would be fine if it were in the water too. It's nice and warm out. That water's circulating. It wouldn't have any issues as long as it's not cold and that water were stagnant. They're fine with having wet feet. As long as it's moving and it's oxygen rich and it's in the appropriate potting soil. This is all new. Not the fountain. The fountain isn't new, but I've been playing around with the idea of tiling the inside of this bowl. So I got all these beautiful glass tiles. I haven't put them in place yet. I just have them hanging over the edge of the container to see how I would like it. And I do really like it. I'm not going to mortar them in and grout them because this container, this plastic container, really likes to break during the wintertime. I drain it. It still gets cracks. I usually have to seal up little cracks with silicone every spring. So I may just try and keep it like this, tidy it up and make it look better, but just let the tiles drape in there instead of affixing them. That way it's easy to repair every year when it cracks and leaks. I have flex sealed the entire inside of that bowl, but every winter somehow it's just little tiny cracks. But these bowls, they're very expensive. This one is 34 inches, odd size, I know. It's a 34-inch bowl and it's over a foot deep. It's hard to find these things for a reasonable cost these days. Very hard. I think this was $70 or $80. They're hundreds now, so I'm not going to replace it with something else. I know Aquascape and other places make some really big bowls that you can use for fountains and for patio ponds, but they are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, some of them in the lower thousands. I'm fine with this. I can throw a little silicone in there every year and have my fun little tacky tiles hanging over the edge. Might look better if they were affixed and down over the edge in a nice clean line, like if they were down in here. That's what I mean, but I don't know. I think I'm okay with this. Or what I may do is go ahead and line them up, make them look nice, and just silicone them into place up around the top so I can lift them up like a flap. That way I can still make repairs. That might be the way to go. Silver Lady Fern, loving life for the most part. I moved it to a self-watering container that has fallen over, but I think that has made a tremendous difference as far as the care with that fern goes. Self-watering container, keeping it very happy. I have some dragon wing begonias in the front of everything here. There's some hanging baskets. I haven't pulled them from their baskets yet because I'm still on the fence as whether or not they can stay here because they do get pretty toasty, but I don't think it's hot enough. It's like just barely below being too much light. You know what I mean? It's on the cusp of being too much. I think they're going to be good here because, like I mentioned, in a few weeks there's going to be more shade on this end of the patio, and I think that they'll do a lot better just in a couple more weeks and things get more shaded. More begonias in the background. I had this one for a long time and I keep forgetting its name, but I know it. It's back there in my brain somewhere, but I cannot remember what it is. I'll remember it at some point when it's not important. I don't have the camera anywhere near me. It's fine. It's been a great houseplant, begonia. The front of this queen palm, this pot, it's in a pot that is sunk fairly far into the ground to keep it from blowing over. I have a leucocassia in there along with another lemon blush caladium that I think goes well in this spot because we have the lemon blush. Then that lemon blush, it pulls or ties everything together. I have some curcuma gingers just sitting in there because I never made up my mind as to whether I want to plant them in there. So I had divided this one and put the other half in another container that you'll see in a bit. There's another alocasia variegated frydek in here. There's just a little guy that I divided off the other ones and overwintered in the grow space. It's coming back doing nicely. Purple bellvine was doing really well in here, and then it just sort of stopped. Oh, I think I just need, you know what? I need to put netting on here. I need to put netting on this trunk so it has something to climb onto. They're not the best of climbers, are they? So I'll do that. That'll make it happier. Orchids just sitting in there. Yang bromeliad over the front with some of the, who are you? Wire vine. I planted wire vine down there. I like the airiness of wire vine. Things look nice and lush, but airy at the same time. Have heliconias in the background, chaconianas with the Thai constellation monstera that I picked up for $15. This was $15 on clearance at Lowe's. This is a new leaf, so I think that this was probably the biggest leaf when I got it, but still, $15. Awesome. Not that I need more. I figure I'm going to give those away to some friends of mine who've wanted some at the end of the summer, and they can have those. This whole area is the tortoise garden. This is where Colby hangs out during the summertime. And Colby has the whole backyard during the summertime when he's being supervised, and then has this whole area in here with the lava wall in front of it for more unsupervised time. And I also am storing my potting soil back here. And I have some plants back here. Everything is covered in mud right now because this whole area got filled with mud and all of my gravel was buried. So I took the pressure washer and just blasted through all of the mud, and it brought up all of that old gravel. There's tons of this Mexican beach pebble under here that I'm working on getting to come back up to the surface. It's just, it's a very messy process. I need to come in here and wash those off again. It's only been a couple days. They've been washed, but I think it's going to take a few rinses to get the mud off of everything. Everything back here is, I guess you could say backstock, or things that I'm just saving for later projects, or I just don't need them out front and center, like the fig. That doesn't need to be out front and center. The gardenias are to go somewhere else, and I have some little things, some annuals and some palms back here. They got repotted this year where they have access to irrigation and things are more sheltered and protected. So I have all these little windmills down here. There we go. Petunia. These are the Tesson types that are down here. Got these from Plant Delights in the spring and immediately repotted them. And they're growing really, really well. Same thing with this little sable here. I think that's a Blackberryana. Right here, I have some little banana starts I need to do something with. Some hostas that are going to get planted up over in here. Some roses that hate me. And then these are all annuals that got smashed during the plant delivery. So I've been nursing them back to health, trying to get them looking good again. I think these fuchsias are ready to get potted up and moved. If they're flowering, then they've made a good recovery. This. Oh, isn't it beautiful? I came in here to the hill garden. Sometimes I call it my dump garden. Sometimes I call it my pollinator garden. It's just where all the other things go that I like to grow that don't fit anywhere else in the yard. Came in here, I almost just tripped over an irrigation line, and added in this amazing Bloodgood Japanese maple. Now, they're one of my favorites. The Bloodgood, it's a big, easy one. They grow quickly. Usually more on the affordable side because they're so common and because they grow so quickly. They maintain their red coloration really well, but I have been picky trying to find the right one. So I had one for many years in the front of my house and it got some kind of bacterial disease. I don't remember what it was, but the arborist said to just get it out of there. So they had to remove it, but it was easily 15, maybe 20 feet tall. And it had a short base on it with some really intricate, awesome-looking branches that came off of the main trunk. And I just hadn't found one with a shape like that in the last, I don't know, 10 years, not 10 years, but 5 to 8 years. I've been looking for a new one. And I stumbled upon this at a nursery out here that specializes in trees, and they bring lots of beautiful conifers out from Oregon, and they just have good stuff. And it was a fantastic price. It wasn't cheap, but for the size of this thing and the caliper of the trunk on it, and it's got a nice size base. It's that nice short base that I was talking about with very intricate branching that comes out from it. It was just perfect. One of the best Bloodgoods I've seen for sale in a long time, at least that was within a price range that I was willing to pay for one of these. So now it is here. There was a Honeycrisp, or maybe it was a Liberty Apple Espalier. There's another Espalier right there. Right here, and I am in the process of moving that Espalier. It's right here. I'm going to be moving that down along that fence line. So it'll be an Espalier here and an Espalier right there. And then to just let this Japanese maple do its thing and fill in this entire spot. Oh, whoa, camera. Whoa, whoa. As I was saying, let this come in here, fill in this entire spot with that beautiful dark red foliage and be beautiful. I'm always wanting more privacy right here because you can see the view. Yeah, not so great, right? It's a lot of fun keeping up with weeds when that's what you have right behind your lawn. It would just be nice to fill it in. And the Japanese maple, they're not evergreen, no, but they flush out nice and early in the season. So they're not without leaves for too terribly long, which is good enough for me for this area. The hydrangeas that are down here, they are doing wonderfully. I was going to dig them up this year. They are the, what are they? Summer ever, you know, the really common ones that have been out forever that just rebloom and rebloom. I don't know why the name escapes me, but that's what those are. I was going to dig them up because they haven't bloomed in years, and this year just boom, huge show of flowers. Added in a lot of natives. That's a Blue Jangles hydrangea. It hasn't bloomed yet, but should soon. I don't know why the name escapes me, but you know what I'm talking about. You see them everywhere. They're in the blue pots. Haven't done anything in years. I assume just because our winters were too harsh, but they're supposed to bloom on all the new growth, but they need to have the old growth survive to put out the new growth that flowers. Whatever. I was going to dig them up. I'm not going to because this year it put on a big show. pH, about 6.4 in here, so it's not acidic enough to get them blooming. I did hit them with sulfur multiple times, and it didn't make a difference. So with the Blue Jangles, I've been using a liquid in addition to the sulfur, and we'll see if that comes out with some blue flowers. I like the pink. The pink's fine. There's also lots of Asclepias and natives tucked in around here. I have another berry white hydrangea that I put up here on the hill that's just now starting to bloom. You can see it back there. Why does it look so grainy? Hopefully it doesn't look grainy in the final options here. And another berry white down there. So we have that nice big white and pink right here, eventually like 8-10 feet tall right there, and then down back there. Want to tie in the hydrangeas that are from the front of the lawn back to over here, and there's some more when you head over this way. Okay, that's the tortoise garden. Oh, king palm. Look at the little king palm. He's happy, doing a lot of growing. Starting to take off. Seemingly doing pretty well. Croton. Loving life. Love this croton. had that thing for such a long time. What is my deal? My balance is off today. I don't know. Maybe it's residual stuff from the COVID I had about 10 days ago. I don't know. Queen Palm's doing great. I like the croton there. It is still wedged around the trunk, but it's growing on me. I think it looks fine, especially since the fan's in front of it and blocking most of that the majority of the time. I have a ginger down here that has just started to open a few days ago, and it's looking great. This is a Sweet Memory curcuma. I'm pretty sure it's Sweet Memory. I can't remember for sure, but I've had it for a very long time. And it has gorgeous flowers. Aren't those beautiful? A great curcuma. Back here I have another plant that I just threw an alpinia in with a random, I don't even remember, cows something. It's a Proven Winners Calibrag Super Cal, I think. That's in there, coming around the corner. Baby washi, looking good. It was just a little seedling when I got that from Etsy, starting to put on some size. I potted up one of those Lismachias into a hanging planter because I knew I'd want to take one inside for the winter time. I need to put it into a bigger pot though. That's just hanging out in here with the Areca Palm, some Pakistackies. Areca Palm's doing well, has some die off that's ready to be cut off of it. That's pretty normal for this time of year. The stuff that had during the winter time starting to fizzle out, and it's starting to get its nice summer color. The more white it gets, the more it starts to get that lutea, the yellow, and that gold. Here, you can really see it in there. It's an amazing palm tree. I have had this one for 12, 13 years, something along those lines. And it's just been fantastic. I love it. It's a super plant. Easy to grow. It has such a fun, exotic shape to it. Yeah, great plant. Over here, these are the deck planters, the big blue ones right here. I put some Terra Pink petunias in the fronts of each one of these. This one's hidden in this inflatable cooler. I'll scoot that over there. Oh, and there's another fan. Okay. You can see them better now. Terra Pink petunias in there. I have some more wire vine in the corners on each one of these. The corners of these are more shaded, so the sun comes through like this. And there's more shade on the sides of these. Filled them up with heloconas because they're my favorite, and I was able to find tons of them for sale this year, and I had ordered some, so there's just heloconas everywhere in the garden this year. They're my favorite thing to put in these planters. I had yews in here. I did that a couple of years ago for the winter time, and then last summer was the first summer that I had them in these planters, and I was like, it's fine, I'll just put lots of pretty flowers around them. I ended up just hating it. I hated the way the yews looked with the tropical plants. It was just awful. So I've lifted those. They're sitting in some partially dug holes with mulch over the tops of their root balls, waiting to get planted over in that area. And I could potentially just stick them back in these for the winter time. So I may end up doing that and try and get those yews adjusted back into a smaller container that will fit in these and just swap them out. That might be what I end up doing instead of planting them in the ground. It just looks better without the yews here. They're a nice plant, but the heliconias are always going to be my favorites. I planted some Harrison straps, which are just coming up. These are a type of caladium that have a really neat leaf on them. You'll be able to see when they get bigger. More of the red justicias in here. Some sun patiens in the back. I have a tropical blizzard. Gorgeous. Isn't it gorgeous? Tropical blizzard ivy planted in the front of this container of this banana that I think I need to move into a bigger pot. I just put it in this pot a couple of weeks ago, but it wasn't much of an upgrade. It's grown, like it's put up all that since I planted it in there, but it doesn't look good, right? That doesn't look ideal. It's spindly and it's very difficult to water, so I'm probably gonna end up bumping this up into an even larger container because it's so hard to keep this one hydrated with plants this big, condensed into such a small space. But there's annuals in here, they just don't look good because this pot's not big enough. So I'm going to be doing that. Oh, First Lady, Hibiscus. Stunning. This thing has been flowering. Of course, now it's a garden tour, it's not going to do it, but it has been just a powerhouse of flowers. I grew this one last year, fell in love with it, got into one for this year, and I put it into a larger container so it should be easier to overwinter in the grow space this year. In the front of it, I underplanted it with some, I think it's Diamond Frost Euphorbia, I can't remember, some sparkling Amethyst Verbena. Just don't know how much it's liking life right here. And then some of that lemon lime Plectantherus. I like that combination. Geez, you look really thirsty too. All right, well, so that's why I'm doing the tour, so I can get the hose out afterward and give everything a nice big drink. This one right here is just another washi that got potted up in a video that came out recently, but I potted them up several weeks ago with some Pakistackies, shrimp cocktail, something like that, Justicia, random Calabrac, and more of that heloconas in here. And then this planter is the same as one I showed y'all down there. This is all new, but it was around for May. But this is a foxtail palm, a multi-trunk. Way too many in one trunk, but I just loved the way that it looked, so I got it. That I put over here on the other end, because I only have the one Areca palm. I had two. I don't remember what happened to the other one. And it's been difficult to find something that kind of goes the same. Finding another Areca palm this size would have been just a nightmare. They get expensive when they get this big, this far north. And I've only seen them maybe half the size before, and they were in a 25-gallon pot, and they're like $700. No, this was in a 7-gallon pot when I bought it, and they were much smaller, but they still had some clear trunk. I think, you know, maybe the tallest trunk was about like right here, and then crown shaft on them, and I think they were 80. That was a long time ago. I know prices have changed, but I'm not doing it, and you can't get something with that much size on it that's in that small of a pot. This takes time and effort. Every few years I have to pull it, root prune it, and baby it, and everything, keep fresh soil around there. I just wasn't going to find another Areca, but this foxtail, like, you know what, that works. It works fine. I think that's great because you got the multi-trunk. I like the lighter color. The spot is somewhat more shaded, so that helps brighten things up in the evening time. And it looks great in this beautiful blue ripple container too. I love these pots. Yes, it's cracked, but never getting rid of it. They're my favorite pots that I have out here. This is planted up with some dragonwing begonia, some crossandra, and some Acalpha. None of them are looking that hot because this got blown over not long after it was planted up because we had a tornado. And that's why the planter's cracked. And I had to replant everything. So it's still rebounding from all that. That was about 3 weeks ago. This is new. It's just orchid blush sun impatiens with some heloconas. I might be flipping my heloconas and some plectanthus, but something ceviche, plectanthus. This is the plectanthus with the lime time coleus in the middle. It's a more cool combination, and it looks better without the cooler sitting right there. I think it goes well in that container, and it's Thursday. Let me give it a drink. Also, repotted this coconut. Not much else to say about it other than I repotted it, and I put some tattoo orange vinca in the base of the container and some bluephoria mandevilla. They just do really well too. There's a lot of sand in here, shells on top, and they aren't plants that get too fussy. They can handle the irrigation. Over here, this is pretty much all new. Well, the ginger's been there, but this is a Quickfire Fab Hydrangea. That's new this year, and it's doing great. Just beautiful. It's right next to the El Nino Chitalpa, which is finally starting to put on some size. This thing flowered very early this year. It had flowers on it in mid-May, and now it's not flowering, but it's growing. I don't know what that's about. I don't really care. As long as it puts on some size and go ahead and does some more flowering here in a few weeks, I'm fine with it. The Quickfire Fab Hydrangea, I just love it because as far as the panicle hydrangeas are concerned, this is one of the first ones to, it is the first one to bloom. Blooms, I'd say a good 3 weeks to a month earlier than all my other panicles that are out here, and that's why I love it so much. And they have a nice large petal on the flowers too. Really just a nice looking hydrangea. And it's all about that early bloom for me. You don't have to wait until you start to get into the heat of the summer, or even with some like the limelight hydrangeas, sometimes they don't get blooming until August, just depending on their location. These, I want to say, started to bud up in May, and they were in full flower by early June. That's great. So you have weeks more flowers than you do get with other hydrangeas. That got complicated and almost lost my thought there. There's the Hibiscus standard just tucked back there with some other rehab heliconias. They're doing okay. Needle palms, let's talk about those. They're looking good. I just always forget to talk about them, so I want to make sure we come over here and have a look at them. Have a look at, that didn't make any sense. They're good, nice and big. These are pushing about 5.5 feet tall. They're starting to be ready to have their old winter foliage pruned out. They only get protected when it gets really cold. I only protect them below about 10. I'll put a bag over them. And then if there's going to be ice and precipitation or prolonged temperatures below 10 Fahrenheit, I have lights that I plug in. You don't have to do that. I have another one of these up on the hill underneath the Norway spruce. I haven't protected at all, and it's survived just as long, but it's about a third the size of these. That's why I protect them. In between them, this is new. Got it over a year ago. I just got it planted up this year. This is the baby grand magnolia. It's a dwarf magnolia grandifolia. Grandiflora. Only goes, I think, 8 to 10 feet, tall and wide, super dwarf. It's more of a magnolia bush. There is zone 10 and ups. This is a good spot for them, I'm thinking, because in this spot, they will have the shelter of these needle palms, as those are protected when it goes below 10. And it has just responded wonderfully to being planted up. It was looking pretty scraggly. There's a lot of this going on in it when I planted up in this spot, and it is flushed out with tons and tons of new growth, and it's been flowering. I can't wait to see what that looks like when it starts to come up and be a nice evergreen ball above those needle palms. And the flowers, oh, the flowers are so nice. They smell so good. Same thing over with that Cape Paris magnolia. Growing like a champ. This is its third year in the ground. It was just a stick when I got it, so I think it's really going to start to put on some size. Finally, this is a Limelight Prime Hydrangea Standard. Got planted up last year, and it's just now starting to put out its buds, which is nice. It's adding some privacy in here. And all of my extra impatiens, I just dotted into this area. I was talking about this area earlier about how it's been a struggle keeping moisture over here, and that's because, well, I mean, there's a freaking huge maple above it. So I think I need to run drip into this area. That's going to be the only way to actually make the shade garden work. It's just too dang dry. The ostrich ferns, they've been fine, but that's ostrich ferns. I put a Florida Sunshine Elysium over here, which was looking pretty bad, but starting to rebound and look better. And then I have the Hockanachoa grasses over here that they just need more water. There's a sprinkler head right here too, but it's not enough because, again, there's a freaking huge maple right there. But they just got planted up last year, so I think if I go ahead and get some new heads put in around here, make sure that this gets ample water, then they should be okay and start to look better. Always the goal. This is all new. This was just grass. I mulched this whole area and planted up the El Nino Chitalpa over here, and then a Sergeant Pepper dogwood right here that I just freaking love. Look at the leaves. Look at it, that tricolor variegation. And I was thinking, I had thought, I planted these for other people before, that pink was more of something you only got when you started to have the cooler evenings, but it's been a while since we've had any cool evenings. And that pink is in there, so it must be more the sunlight that influences whether or not you get the pink in there. These have awesome fall color too. Sturdy plants, this was, about, I don't know, 8 inches high, maybe, when I planted it. This is all first year's growth. I can't wait to see that fill in some more. I do think I should dig it up though and move it more like right over there, because this is just right in the middle of things. It was a bad placement. I don't, sometimes you don't really see things properly until you get the mulch, and so I probably should have done some of the mulching first, but it's fine. It's a easy dogwood. I can move it, but shouldn't be any issue. Redbud, Sweetheart Caroline, my favorite redbud. Well, I don't know if I can pick a favorite redbud, but it's one of them, one of my favorites of the red buds. Moving on over into here, the windmill palm. Love and life, super palm tree. I haven't put any annuals under here yet because up until about a week ago, the spring annuals were still looking really good. So I left them. I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave them. I have some annuals that I can add into them later, but for now I need to wait some time to let all of the caladiums come up. So there's a combination of the pink illusion and some more of those summer pinks in this container, and they just got planted up maybe a week or so, just starting to push up. I need to let all of them push up, and then I can come and clean this out and add some more annuals to come out the base. This all got redone for the party. It was just a cluster of mess up here. My praying hands Mangave doing great. This was sent bare root to me in the springtime. It's probably doubled in size since I moved it into this container. It seems very happy. Any flowers? No. Well, that's the Orange King Fuchsia, and it has really awesome big flowers on it. Hopefully, I'll be able to see it flower again sometime soon. I have this bowl here that I just tossed a bunch of the Sane Tillandsias in as a centerpiece. It's, again, for entertaining. I have my agaves. These are the Star Traveler, Time Star, I don't remember, Galactic agaves. They have a nice bluish hue to them. Those are back. So I got those from Plant Delights last year. I have my Symponiums, which are a cross between a Sempervivum and an Aeonium. Can we see it? There we go. those potted up back there, hanging out with the Justicia carnea and this nice variegated geranium. The Justicia just opened up. Isn't that a pretty one? I love the flowers on that. I like how this spot turned out. The fountain was running, and then we had a bunch of rain, and it tripped the breaker, and to re-trigger the brake to flip it, you gotta move all this out, so that's fine. It can stay like that for now. The others. Oh, Queen Palm has a new frond opening up, which is good because 2 of its fronds are broken. So it's gonna be nice to have that fill out. Do you mind if can I go there? This is where you live now? That's fine. I'll walk around. You stay there. I don't want to disturb you. Oh, now he moves. Figured that would happen. Had this area filled in with Chinese fan palm, whole bunch of heliconias. Back there has punched my own camera. Kitten! Floof! How you doing, Floof? Being a good stalker? Yeah, always a good stalker. The Sun Patient. I plant one of these underneath my Robolini palm every year. It's just tradition at this point. This year I decided to not actually plant it into the container because the last couple of years, something's been digging them up. It's just this one. So it's like, I'm just going to leave it in a pot. And you can see it's not working out great, but it's better than last year where I didn't have any because the roots got eaten away by something. And this way, when things do get more shaded, which they will in a few weeks, I can pick this up and move it to a sunnier spot. It just seemed like the smart move to keep it looking nice. Oops, I had forgotten to take that noise cancellation off, so now the audio is going to be all uneven through this whole video. Oh well. Angel Trumpet. Looking great. These things, they grow so well. I have this set inside of the container I'm going to repot it into. That's something I'd like to get done this week because they're so thirsty. They need to be repotted. Why did I say that so weird? They need to be repotted pretty frequently when they're the smaller size, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Just means they're nice, vigorous plants. Has another flower you're going to open on. It's been blooming really, really well considering how badly it needs a repot. Cordylands and other tropicals mixed into this area. This is the lutea that I was talking about when I was showing the dragon, the golden dragon alocasia. And this one still isn't even that yellow. It's still coming out of its winter dormancy, but this will have really nice big leaves, and this is going to be a very vibrant yellow along the whole stem up through the veins in here. A lot of that is light dependent, so I may have to move it to give it more light. For right now, it's sitting right there, and I really like how it looks. This whole spot right here. Well, no, let's just talk about the Adenidia. This awesome Adenidia palm. It's new this year. It's beautiful. It's girthy. It's very, 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 very big. It's in a 25-gallon pot. I have a pot that I can move it into, and I finally have enough soil to go ahead and do that, so I'm going to get that repotted soon enough. And the majority of what's sitting on top of the container are things I want to plant into the container. So I have some Mangaves here. This is the Catch a Wave, I believe. Yeah, let me see. Double check. Catch a Wave. Mangave, really big one. And then some night owls those are actually probably going somewhere else. But I want those in there together, along with the variegated leucocasia. Some Pachystaches I think goes great. I didn't just break that, did I? Of course I did. Well, that's fine. Now I can just move it over even further. It goes wonderfully with the Bluephoria, Mandevilla, whatever. You know what I'm saying. I like the way those colors play together. I have a, Thrinax radiata tucked away in here. It's doing well. It seems to like this spot. This was in full bloom just yesterday. Covered in blooms the last 3 days. It's a Seminole Pink Hibiscus. My absolute favorite. They have really big pink flowers on them. You don't see them for sale as often as you used to because they've been replaced by those stupid painted lady, whatever they are, the reddish pink ones with the dark center. This one's so much better. Not as vigorous, but the flowers are better. It's one of my favorites. It's been doing really well. I have a coconut palm down here that I just got repotted. Well, not just, it's a couple months ago, but I think it's really cute in that pot. Doesn't it look cute in that pot? With the background agave, not mangave. This is the Joe Hoke, which I think has some of my favorite variegation on it. Isn't that stunning? It's a really, really pretty variegation. Another one of those Camedria tepehelitos. Back here, this is just the same as the one I showed y'all before in the purple pot that just had the one nice looking leaf and the others need to be pruned off. And you can kind of get a better look at its little trunk down there. Oh my gosh, I forgot I had all these toys out here for the party. I don't really mind those, but don't want to leave them out here either. Should put those away. It's a fun palm. More orchids dotted in here with some just random tropical planters that I've done. Lime Zinger, Xanthosoma. Love this one. Such a nice leaf in here with the Cordyland Frutocasas. It's a good color palette, but I don't know if these are getting enough light because they're really reaching out this way. You can barely even tell that there's a succulent planter right underneath them. You can kind of tell. I may have to move those, we'll see. And then coming around over here, the base of this other Adenidia palm. It's currently being blocked by a narwhal balloon. Looking great, isn't it? This got planted up with some more gingers. This is the other half of that one I showed underneath the queen palm, a division I took out of it. Didn't skip a beat. Variegated sun-patient tropical rose, Plectantherus in there, looking good. I also had a begonia, I don't remember what kind, in here, and it didn't like the heat wave that we had last week, so it's dead now. Not shocked by that. Thought I'd give it a try. And then some clowning around caladiums, which are just, I love them so much. They're my favorites. I say a lot of things are my favorites, but look at the leaves on them. They have these big old floppy ears on them, the lobes and the sinus. It's a really fun caladium. There's something happy and cheery about that one. Pachystaches lutea in the front, Persian shield that I popped in the back. And then there's a combination of Florida Beauty and Spring Fling caladiums that have been in there for years, coming up over there, and variegated fuchsia that we're going to put in a different planter. Overall, I've just been enjoying this spot. The dragon wing begonia up top. You could see, I just stepped on that plastic anchor. Just stay there. Just stay there. I've been enjoying this spot. I love the way everything has worked out, the way everything looks. The ginger's starting to do its thing and poke out and peek out. I like having that flow and that curve. So you come around and it pulls you in. It's inviting to go in the house this way. And then to have things come and flare out and fan out, swoop back in, and you have this nice seating area. The table's new. Just got the table. I was entertaining. Thought it was only right for people to have a place to set their things. I had an ottoman in here and it was inflatable. And I just know people would have tried to sit on it and it's dangerous. I've seen people do it. You fall over. It wouldn't have worked out. So I got a cheap coffee table. It works. Nothing fancy. It's just a random cheap coffee table that I was able to get delivered in time for the party. Yeah, it's good. I think this is the best it's ever looked out here. Everything. I just love the way everything is playing together. Everywhere you look, you got the color, you got the tropicals, you've got the texture, the wispiness. It's so nice. Very, very happy with how everything's looking this year. Gonna look even better here fairly soon because these hedychiums, these are flaming torch hedychiums or Hawaiian butterfly gingers, they're gonna start blooming. Probably I'd say in about maybe 3 weeks. They take a long time to get going when you live this far north, but it is going to be such a show. Big orange spires of flowers are gonna be covered in hummingbirds and butterflies right above the heliconias. Oh, I'm so excited. This area, I came in, trenched it out when I trenched out everything else and put down all that gravel. And I built a wall here with old reef rock and conch shells and then just lots and lots of other bulk seashells that I had laying around and packed them in there to make a faux seawall, really is what I wanted to do there. And then I spread some white sand from the top and it's overflowed to the bottom and it really does look like a little beach wall. The way things have built up in there. I forgot about these. I need to pull these out. Those were for the party. I'll get those out of there. It came out nice. It doesn't feel contrived, you know? It just feels like, okay, things have settled the way they're supposed to be. And it looks good. That was unintentional, and I left it because I was like, oh, the spilt bucket of sand is kind of cool. A little kitschy, but kind of cool. It can stay there. I love this. I think it's awesome. The dragon wing begonias, which are right here, they took some damage because a dog toy ended up back there and then a 110-pound Labrador ran right through them. Those things happen. We're going to see how they do. They were getting too much sun initially. This is the first year I've ever tried begonias right here. It's always been sun patiens. I've done the Tradescantia and lantanas and things in the front, but never begonias in the back. And they were getting a lot of sun in the springtime, but that sun, the angle's starting to shift and they're starting to get more shade. So I'm thinking that they're going to go ahead to adjust and fill out in this area nicely. I don't know, we will see. Either way, there's going to be color here because that Tradescantia is going to start filling. It's already starting to fill in. Look pretty nice right there. Heptacodium, not a lot to report on it other than look how awesome the trunk is looking in there. They have such beautiful bark. The Heptacodium, you know, it looked like a bush for several years and I've been pruning on it and shaping it to get it into this nice tree shape. I wanted something with that nice vase shape here, something similar to what you would see with a lot of crepe myrtles, but perennial. Crepe myrtles are tricky here. They tend to die down to the ground a lot. Whereas Heptacodium, you get a similar shape, the vase shape that you get with a lot of crepe myrtles. But fully cold hardy, they keep their leaves the majority of the year. They're not evergreen. They lose their leaves, but only for about 4 months. They flush out early and they hold on to them well into early winter. And they flower, and nothing else is flowering. So they'll start blooming here in about a month. They'll have really nice blooms going on them. The banana clump that was right here, I let that die back because I have a different type of banana that I planted in here. It's still very small, so not much to see with it yet, but I put a Unionensis in this spot because they hold a better clump. Not quite as cold hardy, but I'm putting so much mulch on them during the winter anyways, I figure I may as well put something there that is a little bit more exotic and fun than just the bajus if I'm going to all the trouble protecting. This is what the bajus look like without protection. I don't need to mulch them at all. They do great. But if I'm doing the mulch, it may as well be for something that puts on a big show. So that'll be something to see in a few years. Those are just bajus that just came up. It's hard to get them out, get them all out. You know, you dig them up and little bits of roots stay behind. They keep doing their thing. In the front here, this is the Persephone crinum lily. Super cold hardy, very, very vigorous. I would imagine this should be blooming here pretty soon, right? Has anybody seen any buds in there? Yeah, I give that about another probably 2 to 3 weeks, and this is going to have some really tall, about 5, almost 6 foot tall, big bloom stalks that come out of there that have beautiful deep pink flowers on them. Right behind there, I have this beautiful Cephalotaxis. This is a plumule that I planted in here this spring that I need to be mindful of because there is so much growing around it. None of this was here when I planted it. I can move this planter. I don't really think the planter is a problem, but the crinum lily, I didn't realize it was going to intrude that much. So I should probably come in here and do some pruning to make sure that this isn't pressed up against the entirety of that U. But it has put on some good size since I planted it. It's a nice evergreen. It'll stay narrow, but fill in this area nicely. In a few years, it's gonna be more impressive. In front of that, I just tossed random, it was a hibiscus braid that had orange and yellow and all different types of flowers in it. In here with a mini Vista Pink, Vista Fuchsia, I don't remember. Just toss them into that planter next to this brand new Firelight Hydrangea, which I think during the last garden tour, I may have been calling it a Quickfire or a Pinky Winky or something. It's not, it's a Firelight. Firelight, also one of my favorites because of its open habit. Look at the open habit you see on the flowers. Those panicles are more opened. So you see there's almost like a sparkle effect you get with that instead of just really densely packed flowers. Idea here is to let this go ahead and grow up several feet and limb it up. I love the way shrubbery looks when you've limbed it up and you have things open down below and then can plant down below. That's going to look really nice, and eventually it will stick out from that corner, so you'll be able to see it when you're coming around the corner. And it's going to just make sense because as you're looking through here, it'll be blooms from that panicle, berry white hydrangea, the strawberry vanillas right there, and then the whites from the little lime punches and the Quickfire fabs that are over there. Going to be a lot of color. We've got to wait a few years, but there's going to be a ton of color this year too. But you know, it takes them a few years for all these new hydrangeas to get up and start doing their thing. More of the Flaming Torch Hibiscus. These are going to put on a good show this year. These were planted as transplants back in 2020. They were spotted all the way throughout here, and then I let the cannas go out of control last year, and it smothered a lot of them out. I shouldn't have done that. I should have stayed more on top of it. But still, 2 nice clumps remain, and I did come through and thin these cannas out drastically this year to help get more light back onto the hibiscus. I very much cherish the butterfly gingers over the cannas. The cannas are cool and everything, but I very much prefer these. If I had to choose between the two, it's going to be the gingers. Speaking of the gingers, down here, Slim's Orange Hibiscus, which I was not a fan of at all last year. This is its 3rd year. The first 2 years, I was like, man, that thing is spindly and it looks weedy and the flowers were pathetic. But this year, it's just looking great. This plant has a very nice, vibrant orange inflorescence on it, and it's not looking as spindly and just junky now that it's started to take on some size. So forget whatever I said in the past about not liking them. I really like this one. These giant hibiscus, this will go 6.5, 7 feet tall before it has flowers on it. They take up a massive amount of space. If that doesn't work for you, Slim's Orange. It's not quite the same appeal, but you get the same effect. It has a nice tropical look to it. It's vibrant. I don't smell anything, but I'm not always the best at picking up scent on things. The hummingbirds just love them, and it's blooming way earlier than the flaming torches do. When you're in zone 6 or 7A, you're much more limited with the hedychiums. There are not as many that you can grow, and I don't think any of them are listed as being hardy into zone 6, except for maybe the Terra, which is a terrible one. It grows like a snail. But you can grow a lot of them. As long as they're coccineums, you can grow them. You just got to mulch them. I'd go with this one. On a note of plants that I don't like, the Colocasia Redemption I planted last year decided to come back even though I hate it. It didn't hear me. Go away. Nobody likes you. That's not true. I know, very popular plants. It's just not my cup of tea. But it turns out it's perennial. Didn't protect it. It's still there. The Colocasia that I do very much enjoy, the Pharaoh's Dream, was experimental. Turned out to be nice and hardy. Look at the size on this. Pretty soon, this is going to start opening up with leaves that have a really heavy white variegation in these veins. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, look at all those weeds. That's bad. It's fine. There's weeds out here. I would imagine that cold hardiness wise, the Pharaoh's Dream is probably about the same as the Bikini Teenies, which are right here. A very vigorous, very cold hardy Colocasia, but larger. I'm gonna say these are probably more vigorous than the Pharaoh's Dream, but you gotta give them more time. It's too soon to tell. This has only been in the ground for, this will be their first year. Last year they got plants up, but they were this big when I planted them. Like, literally, they were just a tiny little scrawny leaf. So they need some more time to really say what they're going to do. This whole garden bed, I just like the way it has turned out this year. I did the purple candy or purple mountain, I don't remember. Purple candy, red candy, sun patience with the orange sun patience dotted in there, and a row of the chucks, I don't know, some kind of parrot speak heliconia in the back. I don't remember what I bought them as, but they look like the choconianas. In the background with everything, and the bananas are trying to come up and do their thing behind everything. I am also seeing that I have some extreme Japanese beetle stuff I need to attend to. Not a big deal. They do that every year. It'll be okay. The Baju clump that was right here, it's still here because it's a Baju, and they're hard to get rid of. But I do have Unionensis and Bulbiciana planted in here, and I'm just going to let them duke it out and see whichever one survives. That's what gets to stay. And then I'm going through and also managing the Bajus at the same time. I planted up a screenplay holly this spring. You can't see much of it, but it's back there, and it has done some growing already. It's looking pretty good. The croton that's right here, this is my Freckles. It's not potted in the ground. It's sitting in a container with this Alpinia Zarembit right in front of it, the variegated ones that hides the container. It hides all these containers really well. And he's loving life. He needs a prune because he's leaning forward. He's gotten lanky, but I still love him. I think he's a fun looking plant. Having fun, Turbo? There's a view from another angle. Sorry, I got the big old net and mess out in that spot. Dune grass looking great. I always love the dune grass. Look at the texture. Look at it. Look at it. Doesn't it make things feel so airy, especially when there's a nice breeze and these actually move around in the breeze, which they're not doing right now. Sparkling Burgundy Eucamus popping up in here. I had a whole bunch planted in here. This is the only one that survived from that transplant that happened about 3 years ago. I also had a rhubarb planted in here just because I like the shape of them, but it did not appreciate going from being in the 70s to being around 112. So it's dead now. That might come back. I don't know. I'm not going to be heartbroken over it. Back here, this is the Austin Pretty Limits oleander. This has been a great nerium. It is cold hardy. I don't know how cold hardy, but it shows the least amount of winter damage out of any of the other oleanders I've grown out here. And it's flowering really well this year. It took it a few years. I got it just a teeny tiny little thing. It's a proven winner's plant. This year, I think it's when it's going to really start to do its thing and put on a nice show. I have some Budleias in there and some nice, beautiful, variegated Leucocasia in here. Like those leaves a lot. All right, now that leads us to, I believe, almost the last thing, which are these hydrangea planters. The vanilla strawberries that are ready to be watered. I need to wrap this up. I've been talking for a good 2 hours now. This garden tour is long enough, so I need to stop so I can get the hose out and water everything. Planted these up with Paxitechis lutea, some nice begonias, Terra Blue, Terra Pink, a whole assortment of color of things that aren't looking hot right now because they need to be watered. They didn't need to be watered when I came out here and started filming, but that was 2 hours ago. These have drip on them. I disconnected the drip for the party because there were kids running around. I didn't think it'd be smart to have hoses all over the patio. I just have to take this and just stick this back in here, flip that sprinkler on, That'll get a nice drink. I do like the color combo this year, but it's just not the best time to show it. Maybe I'll give you some water and we'll come back and finish this video later. Okay, it has been a couple of hours. Clouds came back out, which just makes filming so much better. Every time I walk by, I find a new one. Come on now. Yeah, these guys were extremely dried out, so I don't think they're going to perk up. At least this one's not going to perk up that much for this video. Are you still dry over? Okay. Does the drip not... Is that not reaching? Or even running? Huh. Okay. Well, the drip was definitely running on this one. Got a puddle down here. Plants are perked up and looking great. I've got some troubleshooting to do. Just got to pull the hose out and hand water this one. You get the idea. Lots of color. They haven't been plants up for too terribly long, so they still need some time to fill out. I don't know what is going to happen with this container as far as the rest of the petunias go. There's the saffron finch, Tiara pink, and Tiara blue all the way around there. But these containers don't get even sunlight. This one gets a good amount of light. No, this one. This one gets a good amount of light, hence why it's more dry. This one, more shade. And interesting twists here too, that the one that doesn't get as much light is further along in its growth and its blooms. That's odd, right? Heck, I think this is even further along its blooms than it was when I started filming this morning, which would have been the first part of this video, the video prior to this one. Yeah, it definitely is. Thing just ready to explode with blooms. Probably already said this was the strawberry vanilla hydrangeas. My favorites, a very older type of hydrangea. Of the panicles, these get really big cones. And they are very heavy, and they tend to weigh the entire thing down. So right now, in the next few weeks, is really when they look their absolute best. Eventually, they start to look kind of funny as the flower heads weigh things down. And as long as they can make it through July, they just need to make it through the month of July without getting scorched, then they have beautiful fall color. The last few years, though, these have been getting burnt. They turn brown and don't look so hot. And the pink that they get isn't as impressive when it has an undertone of crunch. You know what I mean? It's not a great look, ever, to have burnt, crispy-looking hydrangeas, so I've come to accept it. Last year, I tried moving them into the shade for the days where we got really hot, and it was still a problem, so I've just accepted it. It didn't used to happen. Maybe it has something to do with them probably needing a repot. They've been in these containers for a long time, and they are perennials. I did heavily top dress these with compost this year, and some other amendments to help address any deficiencies that they might have. I haven't seen signs of deficiencies. They have yellowing leaves, and that's really, I think, just from inconsistency with water and temperatures. They just do that a few times a year, I've noticed. But I haven't seen anything else to indicate that they need nitrogen or anything like that. But I mean, they're flowering. Flowering plants need a lot of extra good stuff down in the mix. So hopefully having the compost and all that extra stuff is, maybe that'll help keep it from doing as much of the browning this year. I don't know. Gonna have to just keep my fingers crossed there. And I guess I'm just gonna have to bust out the hose. I was waiting. I was gonna make it through the garden without having to get the hose out and have the bright orange hose sprung across the patio, but that thing needs water. Oh, come on. Don't give me trouble. Come on. I don't know if this is even actually hooked up right now. Really, this is what I probably should have just done to begin with. Is the water on? Yes, water's on. Okay, gonna do this for a couple minutes, then we'll come back. It's just me. I'll come back in a minute once I think this has gotten a nice heavy drink. Okay. I know it doesn't really seem possible, but I swear they already look better, don't they? I don't know why the drip didn't do its thing there. I'm thinking maybe this head was just down too tight. Maybe the pressure wasn't great. I don't know. Regardless, glad that I saw it. The thing with the drip is it's not a hands-free kind of thing. You end up having to check on it a lot. Okay, new garden space. A little bit messy right now. It's got some dumpsters in it. I'll just move this. What is in here? Someone's throwing away bricks. So this whole area right here, I think this guy's low enough I can go ahead and pull this out. This is a whole new area. What's going on with the garage door? What's happening? What's the problem? Hello? What the heck is going on? Okay. That settled down. Weird. The driveway. This is in a video. Gutted the entire driveway. Put in a cabinet for some organization. Have smaller pottery over here. Just really small, insignificant things and things like biotone starter and drip repair stuff. Things I need quick access to for when the garage door is shut, because the little pin pad thing doesn't always work. And I wanted a space out here where I could grow more things that need a lot of sun. Things I talked about in the first part of this video. So about the lepedesas and other things where I just don't always have the best luck with them because come midsummer, there's just not that much sun out here. Now this area right here gets plenty of sun. This is going to be going, this forsythia, that's going to somebody else's house. I don't want it. I think it's ugly. Not a big fan of the forsythias. I have a philodendron over here that's going to need to go somewhere else. It's getting too much sun right here. The whole point of this spot though is that, well, now I can grow some things I can't normally grow. So I have some zinnias in these pots, which could use some attention. These were just planted up about a week ago, so they're not looking too hot. But they'll come around and start looking better. Some sparkling amethyst, verbena down there. Verbena, they struggle in the backyard come midsummer when that afternoon shade kicks in and it's wet and it's humid. They tend to just rot away. So I have areas now where I can pop in just flowers, just some things I would like to be able to have out here that I can't typically grow anymore. So I'm excited about this space. I have the yucca recurvifolias, or the soft-leaf yuccas, into these containers right here. They're just set inside, backfilled with some soil, added some rock to the top just to clean them up and make them look nice. I think it looks good, doesn't it? More formal, which I think is fitting for an entryway and less maintenance. Yuccas, they're so easy. I don't need to put them up on drip. I probably will. I have drip that's going to be run to this whole area. Make my life easier because this mule palms over here needs a ton of water. It's going to be getting a repot soon. It's not living life in that coconut mix. I've added a ton of compost into that mix, but still I know I got to get out of that awful espoma mix that it's in. Not saying espoma mix is terrible, but for me and my water and the way I grow things, I just have never planted anything in it and had it grow and thrive unless I was fertilizing it constantly. I don't want to live that way. So got to get that out of there, put it into a mix that's more appropriate, has better moisture retention and some nutrient to it. So that's why that's sitting there. I have some pottery waiting, or that I'll be using for that down around on the other side of the gate. And in front of the yuccas, I have two Quickfire Fab panicle hydrangeas. The panicle hydrangeas I've noticed have been great container hydrangeas. Like I said, 6B, 7A, not like I said, that was in the first part of the video. If you don't watch the first part of the video, hi, I'm in 6B, 7A, technically fully 7A at this point, but I don't really buy it. We drop below zero fairly regularly, so hard to buy the zone 7 thing. But panicle hydrangeas, they're good into zone 4. They do great in containers here. I don't do anything with the strawberry vanillas over there, and I never have. They just stay in their pots all winter. I don't water them. I do nothing. They thrive. Any panicle hydrangea I've ever kept containerized in the wintertime did just great. The berry whites, they were outside in their nursery cans for a lot of the winter. Well, I guess not a lot of the winter, but a good chunk of it until I got the greenhouse set up and moved them into the greenhouse at a plastic or cold frame thing that I kept them in. So the panicles will be staying here. The Quickfire Fabs, talked about them at some point. Maybe it was this half of the video. I don't remember. Early blooming panicle hydrangea. Not yet. Next year. They'll be nice and early blooming. So we can take everything I was talking about with the panicle hydrangeas and those flowers even a step further back. So we'll have the Quickfire Fabs, the berry whites, the strawberry vanillas, and then the little lime punches and more Quickfire Fabs behind them. Just a whole entire trail, a visual trail of white flowers to help bring you back into the backyard. I'm excited about this new space. I will probably be adding some more zinnias out here because I love a zinnia. Love them so much. Growing them back here, I always end up with powdery mildew. And part of that's just a humidity thing. But the more sun you have on them, the better, and the more airflow too. And verbena, all kinds of fun things that can stick into that area. It's also where the green stalks will probably be headed once I get drip set up over there. And once the sun wanes and moves out from this part of the yard. Okay, all that's left are these Acacia palms, which still have these birthday decorations in them. Well, I feel like removing those right now, but suppose I should, so you have a better look at the plants. Okay, there we go. You can see these better now. Underplanted these with some tattoo orange vinca that I love. So great. Some blueberry soiree catharanthus, I think. one of the ones from Suntory. It's a, you know, a mini vinca. And then I have a trailing vinca, which is Halo. So it's Mediterranean Halo, Rose Glow. I bet it's Rose Glow. Mediterranean Rose Halo. All right, well, I was close. I have 3 of those around the edges. Not much growth out of these yet because I just did these about maybe a week and a half ago. There's some rhodias in here, and then some of the beautiful blue mandavillas that have a name, but I forgot what it was. I don't know, I said it earlier in this video. Bluephoria mandavilla. The gossypoms themselves are doing much better. They sat on the struggle bus for a minute there. I was underwatering them. I didn't even realize that I was doing it because they are typically such a low fuss, easygoing palm that tend to not need a lot of water. Dang, you're playing real low, man. We had plenty of precipitation this spring. However, humidity was just not there, which I am not complaining about, not at all. I do think that did influence how these were growing, though. I wasn't watering them a ton because typically they don't need a ton of water. That's why I like to pair them up with these vinca. Mandavilla should do well in there because they're all plants that can take drier, hotter conditions. They were just looking shriveled and sorry about, I'd say, 2 weeks ago. So I started upping the water on them, and you could practically see them swell back up. So that was my bad. Oops. Sorry, gossypoms. People always ask me what I'm talking about when I say these. What I'm talking about these palms. Guassia. Gossypoms. That's what these are. A few different types. I've done videos on the different types before. I cannot remember what these are. It escapes my memory, but they're really tough. They're really sturdy, but man, they do not transition well to going from the greenhouse to the backyard. And they aren't the fastest growers either. They are growing faster this year than they ever have before. So last year I moved them up into a larger container. These are just faux potted. They're in a plastic nursery can inside of this pot right here. And I guess it took them that year to fill out into those containers and adjust, and now they're doing more. I think the year prior they were just growing so slowly because there was basically no soil around their roots. That'll slow a plant down quite a bit, but they are tossing out their foliage much faster than in years past, which is great because one of the things I don't like about them is one, their fronds remind me a lot of majesty palms, which I just not a fan of majesty palms, but the trunks on these are just so cool. They have so much character to them that I can look past the foliage looking like a plant that I'm not necessarily a fan of. But they have that slow growth, and they don't transition that well to being moved from the greenhouse out here onto the blazing sun, and it would be too long of a process hardening them off and adjust them to the light. So I generally just set them out and let them get some scorch. I cut those scorch fronds off, they push out new ones, and the new ones are fine. And it's already on to the point where it's pushing out the new fronds that are fine with the light. Whereas the last 2 years, it hasn't been until like, September that they've started to adjust and put out fronds that are looking better. So they look scraggly right now, but I'm guessing by the end of July, depending on how dreadfully awful the heat is this month, I bet they'll be looking nice and full. I'm really liking the Bluephoria mandavillas. I wasn't sure about them. You know, they're new this year. I had ordered several of them, and I thought maybe I'd gone overboard, but I love the way they pair up. One, I like them in these pots, period. Regardless of the color, I like the growth habit of this mandavilla in here with the sand and everything. Because the whole point of these containers is to look like a beachscape. I can't do the annuals in these like I used to. I used to have super Petunias or whatever, just big trailers I would plant in these containers. But the gossypoms don't want that kind of water. And there's not enough room to even plant all that in these. Anyways, it's a struggle getting these in with the roots of the gossypoms. If I were to fill this with petunias, it would be a nightmare. So instead, I do it up like this. I do the little beachy things, which is fun. When my friends who have kids come over, the kids always love it. They have the little seashells, the little beach ball, the sand castles. You saw the little hermit crabs that are tucked in there. That was a touch for the birthday party. I'll probably leave a lot of those out. Mostly just because I figure I'll forget about them, right? Seems like what I would do. I'll just forget about them. Yeah, so those are the gossypoms coming along nicely. It amazes me when you take a vinca from its nursery container and get it into a fresh mix, how quickly they respond, because these were looking pretty dang junky when I got them planted into these pots. And here we are, I'd say, I don't know, 10 days maybe at the most later, and they are so full and just luscious and happy looking. Don't they look nice? I love the color pairing here, by the way. Isn't that great? It's a nice color palette. Not what it is, but I like it because it has the warmth of tropical, but it's also cooling. It's not jarring and in your face. It's nice. Would like to get some more softer greens into the mix, but this is good. If I can come by some more of those lemon lime Plectanthrus or helichrysum, I never figure out which ones they were, but those things over there might be a nice addition to those pots. I'll double check. I don't think I saved the tag. No, they didn't have tags. The pots were labeled. I didn't like that camera setting. I turned the camera on. I was like, I don't like that. That's what that was about. I have something that I totally screwed up on in this video. I'll just type it out for the part 1 of this video. So these guys over here, and I was saying, I don't know if they're helichrysums or Plectanthrus. These are lemon licorice helichrysum, not Plectanthrus. And these over here are lemon lime Plectanthrus, not helichrysums. Proven winners. You know, the way they name things, they can make it a little bit complicated. So, and those Plectanthrus I just said were lemon lime Plectanthrus. They're cerveza and lime. So I screwed it up again. Cerveza and lime Plectanthrus. And the other one is lemon lime helichrysum. So this over here, lemon lime helichrysum, not cerveza and lime Plectanthrus. Whatever I said in the first part of the video, I was wrong. I'm probably never going to get that right. I need to grab some plant tags and write that down because I can guarantee it, my brain ain't holding on to all that mess. Especially because their foliage shape is fairly similar. So I can't just look at it and go, oh, that's a helichrysum versus a Plectanthrus. They look pretty dang similar. That'll change as they get bigger. You know, the helichrysum should have more of a trail. The Plectanthrus should have come up more. But until then, they look fairly similar to me. Different colors, but otherwise the leaf shape isn't that different. So that made that correction there. And so what I meant was that it might be nice to get something like these lemon lime helichrysums into these planters over there. Maybe, if I could find some. I could totally be butchering that. I don't even remember if I'm remembering it right. Well, there it is. A lot has changed in this garden in the last month, really the last 4 months. Just so much is different out here. Cleanliness-wise, I have a whole new hangout area down here. I'm not surrounded and just drowning by clutter and plants. I mean, there's nothing wrong with drowning on plants, but you know what I mean. It can get pretty intense sometimes. It feels much more like a space that was intended on being a clean space to hang out in the garden and sit back and appreciate everything. And the view is just wonderful. Oh, this chair needs to be oiled. It does not want to rotate. I love it. I think it's so pretty. I love being able to see these hydrangeas and all of the color that will hopefully start to come out from the bottoms of those pots. Who knows? It's going to take some time. I have all the vibrancy from the sun patience over there, that nice shiny green you get with the crinum lilies, and then hopefully those dragonwing begonias are going to come up and start to poke out and have some pink flowers that dangle above all the tradescantia with that nice purple to be coming down over there. Just lots and lots of color. I have, for the last several years, just gone with the sun patience from here to there, and I would stop right there and then bring them from there and on down further to in that gap where I put the dragonwing begonias. I didn't want to do that this year. I thought it'd be smart just to try something different, and I like it as long as that works out. If it does work out, then the plan is to put hardy begonias in that spot and have a perennial there. I think that would be really, really nice. But I wanted to put those annual types in there first and just see how they do with the light and everything. The perennial type, the Begonia grandis, are the perennial cold hardy begonias. They will bloom from usually early summer all the way until frost. They're heavy bloomers once they get going. They're slow to wake up though. Over here in this spot, now that there's more sun, where I have some of those Begonia grandis, they are growing more quickly than they used to because they're getting more sun. And I do think the light where those are is comparable to the light that they would be getting over there. It's going to be more intense over there, a lot more afternoon sun. So I'm just gonna have to wait and see what happens with them. But that is the plan. If these do well, then next year to do some of the grandest, probably either the teardrops or the smooch. Smooch has a really glossy green foliage on it. It's a very pretty one from Plantalites. It smells divine down here. And this is why. Needs the attention, deserves its own spotlight, the Mimosa. I mean, just look at it. I know these can be considered invasive in some places. Even in parts of Missouri, they can be considered invasive. But this one, I see like maybe 1 or 2 seedlings come up from it, and they have never made it through the winter before. Typically, they'll be more invasive in areas that have like a rocky slope or cliff sides, those areas that hold on to some heat during the winter and radiate it back out in the evening. That's not an issue anywhere near here. I don't see them popping up anywhere around this area, but there are some spots not too far from here where there are some wild mimosa, and there have been for as long as I can remember, wild mimosas, but they aren't taking over. I don't see them in other places. There's just like 2 of them sticking out from the edge of the woods, but they've been there forever, and I'm not seeing them all over the place. So it really just depends on where you live. This is the heaviest flower set I have ever gotten out of this mimosa tree. And I'm just loving it every single day. Best tree that I could ever have out here. Very messy, but well worth the mess. It smells really, really sweet. And I love the texture of a mimosa tree, even without the flowers. They don't have to be in flower for me to like them, but it certainly helps a lot. I've had this tree for such a long time. I got this as a small little guy. It wasn't that small. I think it was probably in a 7, maybe a 10-gallon container from Lowe's. It was $15. You know, maybe just a few feet tall, and it had 3 trunks coming out of it. It's the only time I've ever seen a mimosa at Lowe's. Not to say it's the only time they've had them. It's the only time I had seen them. This was a very, very long time ago. Lowe's was very new to the area. It had only been there for a few years. I know I was a teenager when I went and bought that thing. So it's been moved around quite a bit. Quite a bit, but this is the longest it's ever remained in one spot, hence the size on it. I used to have to keep it pruned back, you know, to a relatively easy to move size because, well, you know, you have to move things around a lot in your younger years, but this is definitely where that's staying now. I'm not going to be transplanting that ever again. It also is in desperate need of a prune, but I haven't been able to do that because it's been flowering very late the last few years. But this year, it's right on time with all the other mimosa trees being into the, you know, mid-June and then moving into July. So I should be able to give this a gentle prune once it's done flowering. And I'm excited about that because I don't want it hanging over the edge of the pool. I love it. I think it's beautiful and it smells fantastic. But again, mess. So much mess. Very messy tree. This got blown off, by the way, about 15 minutes ago. That's already just dropped more flowers over. And that's the way flowers work. Flowers can be messy. I have had family members complain in the past about the mess that some of the flowers make that go over the edges of the containers around the pool because, yeah, they drop petals. I'm like, well, I mean, there's a trade-off. Yeah, the petunias, they're going to drop some flowers. The worst ever was when I had Portulacaria as an annual in the containers down on that end. I will never do that again. Not because of the mess, because they stop flowering once the sun's off of them, so they only have blooms on them until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But they dropped their flowers like crazy, and I didn't care about that. I think there are worse things in the world than having flowers on the ground, right? But it does bother some people. So it's not necessarily the flowers that bother me, it's that when the mimosas defoliate, when they drop their leaves for the fall, it's all these itty-bitty, teeny-tiny, itty-bitty little leaflets that carpet the pool. I think they're great as far as having a plant that's deciduous and leaves that you can just blow right into the garden. Sometimes you need to hose them down and make sure they stick in place. You can just blow them into the garden. They disintegrate so fast. It's not like, well, maples, oaks, magnolias that have a very thick leaf on them and take a really long time to break down. No, these things turn into dust very fast. But it's still messy when it comes to the pool. So I need to come in and give that a just some of the stuff right here. Not all of it, but some of the lower stuff. Be sure to get around to doing that. I'm sure I'll forget. I always forget. But this would be the year to do it. Still, so many fun projects left for the year now, too. I get excited about this. So, you know, the majority of late winter into spring, at least this year, and most years, I'm very focused on getting things cleaned up and looking good, depending on how much I get done in the fall. And then start doing the tropicals more into late spring into summer, focusing on the annual planters and those sorts of things. And then once all that's done, I get to move on to the more crafty, fine detail type of projects, which is what we'll probably be doing more into mid to late July. I really enjoy this. I enjoy it all. This year's focus was heavily on perennials, shrubbery, plants, trees, and just perennials in general, because this garden is just so sad looking from like December till May, because so many of the plants I have are late to come up. The cannas, the bananas, the gingers. You're just seeing dirt out here. So, you know, I have the patch for the annuals right there and some annual stuff over there. Although the Tradescantia, they can be perennial here. It just sort of depends on the winter and my level of patience. If I'm willing to wait for them to reemerge. Half the time I just end up planting something in place of them, whether or not they're coming up or not. That's going to make a big difference this year, though. Moving into the fall, having so many new shrubs, hostas, the bamboos, the lithiums, tons of new hydrangeas, viburnums, and now the color. That's the fun part, is getting all the color put into place and the fine detail work, like on these containers everywhere. Everything's just finally tied together and looking great. I don't typically feel like the garden looks this nice until July or August, which is when I usually say this is the peak of the garden for the year. I think the garden has just now gotten going, and it looks just about as good as it looks when it peaks in July. I usually consider the peak to be when the impatiens have taken on a lot of size, and the crinolines are flowering, and the gingers are flowering, and just all the pottery and everything has matured. But I got to it with so many of the annuals so incredibly early this year that we're already there. In fact, I bet these impatiens over here will need a cutback in a couple of weeks, because they're going to get really leggy looking come September if they don't. And you remember to do that. I'm sure I won't. I will forget, but I should do it or they're going to get pretty sad looking. Ooh, and I have some fun... Well, okay, I'm not going to overhype it. I got a whole bunch of new plants we can play with in the next vlog. I was at Ace the other day, and they were having a buy one, get two free sale. That never happens. That was also the day before the party, so I just unloaded them into the driveway over here. Look at them. Aren't they beautiful? I'm not going all the way over there right now. I don't feel like it. But you can come around like this and get a look. There are 3 windmill palms. Just little babies, but still, don't find those for sale that often, period, let alone for that kind of price. I got 3 of them for $40. Good deal. 4 hibiscus in here, one of which needs a good watering. I only know that one of them is my favorite. One of them is the Seminole Pink. The others, I don't know. But these are mostly iguana food and tortoise food anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And a couple of proven winners hanging baskets. Yeah, okay, they don't look that great, but again, it was so cheap, it didn't matter. All of this totaled like 79, no, it was 84 for everything. That was the total. And I did the math. Without that sale, it would have been like well over $400. Such a good deal. So there's some fun stuff to play with. That, and I have a huge order from Proven Winners unpacked and on my front porch right now. And then I still have a few perennials and annuals left to work with over in that area. Things I'd like to plug into the shade garden. Just some areas I'd like to get built out this year. Really need to spend a lot of my time focusing on this new shade garden over here that's just struggling, which I'm not surprised by because, again, giant maple tree. All right, hey, thanks for hanging out. I know it was a long one, but there's just so much to talk about. So many new things going on out here. So much has happened that needed to cover it all. Fish are looking good this time of day. You can actually see them through the porthole. Isn't that fun? You get it? You see why I wanted that? The porthole. Turbo, where are your fish? Look at your fish. Yeah. You're not going to check it out? You don't need to, what are they doing? What are your fish doing? Look at your fish. Yeah, go see your fish. It's your favorite thing to do. It's blowing my mind somewhat because normally things just don't look like this out here until, like I said, end of July into August. We're a full month ahead on everything. A big part of that is I also just threw caution to the wind when it came to worrying about frost dates this year. I got going with annuals and bringing the tropicals outside earlier than I usually do. That helped a lot. It was a risk, but I took it and it paid off because everything took off and not much suffered any type of damage. Oh, the hydrangea that was looking sad, let's pop back up. I didn't give it any water, just pop back up, so I think I need to tuck that back further into the shade. Everywhere I look, every angle, things just look beautiful. That's the goal. Lots of places to sit out here. Seating area over there. Got the table. The glider right here. Toby's glider. And have the new seating area down over there. There's just lots of different places to appreciate everything. One of my favorite spots is still just to sit on the staircase over here. I love just sitting on that staircase. It's nice and protected. A little bit of shelter from the rain so it's drizzling. You can still sit there and enjoy all the plants, all the small things. There's a lot of small things tucked in. Okay, yeah, again, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to go. Hope everybody's doing well, having a great day, a great night, and everything's going absolutely beautifully for you. Comment down below what's going on in your gardens, how things pan out for you in the month of June. I know the weather has been very erratic for everybody. We had that awful heat wave, but for us, it really wasn't that unusual. I know for some places it was really, really bad. We were like in the mid-90s. Our heat index is like 112, 117, but that happens here during the summer, just usually in July, not June. And we've had plenty of rain. Not really anything to complain about weather-wise this year, which is rare, very rare. Oh, other than the tornadoes, we've had a lot of tornadoes. I'll take some drier weather and even less rainfall if it meant less tornadoes. It was rough this year. Got lucky, dodged a lot of bullets. There were many that were extremely close to the house. But damage was just to plants, which I'm not going to complain about. That's their plants. They'll grow. It's fine. All right. As always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.